Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. It's another week. It's Monday night, and that means we are live on YouTube. We are live on Twitch with the Black and White Show, everybody. Remember, this show is the most interactive show out there across all of Newcastle United content. You can literally email us, or if you prefer to WhatsApp, which is so much more easier, you can see it under Carl's lovely little head there. His number is there. So if you want to WhatsApp us, we will read them out halfway through or maybe towards the end. Just depends how many we've got. And we will talk about the Green King stuff a little bit later, Carl. So we will talk about that. I've got a little clip which I've pinched off your Facebook. Um, how are you, Carl, first of all?
Yeah, good mate. How are you? Not too
I'm
bad.
carrying
Just
on.
just took too long getting everything set up, so apologies that we're late. That's my fault.
That's fine. That was you, Carl. Don't
I
worry.
know.
Don't worry about it. Andy, how are you?
I'm very good, yeah. Just about recovered from yesterday's hangover. I feel like this is a recurring thing with me on a Monday. It's just me saying, "Yeah, I'm all right. I'm just recovering from me hangover from the weekend."
Are you the alcoholic amongst us now then?
No, but I was the one that made sure that our lovely tab that was seen to by the people at Green King got a little bit of a hammering. So yeah, it was a little bit tender yesterday, but I'm better now.
Fair enough, fair enough. I was knackered as well, just off all the travelling, the videos, but fresh as a daisy today, which is great. And obviously, we are going to take a look back at on and off the pitch. So the first part of the show will all be about off the pitch, and then we're kicking Carl off halfway through, where we'll focus more on Man City. And yeah, so please get your comments in. We can see a couple coming through already. And remember, your WhatsApps will be definitely read out as long as they're clean and they're not, daft like anything like that. So, welcome everybody. Mike's in the comments there. Yeah, tough game against the best team in the world. We had a bit of an off day, not the races. Yeah, we'll talk more about Man City later on. Sam's already bantering Carl, saying has Carl lost his tissues once again? Comment on that, Carl.
I don't even know what he's on about. What I do know is I'm absolutely dripping from this fucking softbox light that I've got on. Honestly, I feel like I'm on a sunbed.
Is it the same one from Saturday?
Yeah, yeah, mate. I don't know why I thought I could get it all set up within 5 minutes, like before I needed to come on. Lee was like, be on at 8:15. Got downstairs at like 20 past with nothing set up.
Hello.
I think we're going to need to be supplied with pro shirts for the next watch along with that light because
Yeah.
5 hours in front of that, I was absolutely dripping by the time we finished.
Honestly, I'm sat in front of it now and I'm just like, I apologise. I should have put the screen on it, to be honest.
Love it. Absolutely love it. We've got a WhatsApp that's come in there as well from someone from America. So we are global. So we'll read that out a little bit later. So thank you for that, Josh. I've just seen that. But we'll read your message out a little bit later. So do keep them coming. But going to go straight into it because what we do is we'll look back from Tuesday to Monday. And we're going to go straight into Kieran Tierney. Now, it was interesting because Keith Downey was outside of the training ground mentioning Kieran Tierney. We were like all thinking, oh, this looks like it's happening. Looks like it's a loan to buy, but Arsenal wanted the money effectively outright. Newcastle can it because we've overspent. We don't have FFP, commercial, all of that. We've heard all of this before. But Andy, I'll come to you on this. By Tuesday, did you think Lewis Hall just wasn't in the making? It was all Kieran Tierney?
Yeah, I mean when Keith tends to say it's happening, it usually happens. So it's been interesting. Both I know there was the thing that came out earlier in the window saying that the club was going to be keen to use journalists and outsource reports to kind of smokescreen the deals that were actually going on.
Look at
But
this.
but yeah, I mean I'm buzzing with Lewis Hall. I've seen a lot of things with how devastated Chelsea fans are with Lewis Hall going. I mean, with all the signings they've made, and well, 115 million players just coming through the door, and then you've got an 18-year-old going out the door, and you've got it. So I think that says a lot about him.
We are going to talk about Lewis Hall in a second. He's next on the list. But just going back to Tuesday as well, Carl, is that who would you rather have out the two? And don't just say because of his surname and that his dad
No,
supports Newcastle.
I think, yeah, I think for me, if I'm being completely honest, I think I would have preferred Tierney, just because he can obviously fit straight into the squad. Um, Essentially, he could start there if you really wanted him to, which would be a little bit harsh on Dan Burn, obviously, but he's obviously more than capable of doing that, and he'd fit the narrative for us to make a real go of the Champions League immediately. But I understand why they've gone for Lewis Hall. Obviously, not having to pay money up front and being able to have such a talent of that age join another one with Tino Livramento. I understand it, but for me, I'd have preferred Tierney because I just think it would have been a bit of a statement as to us really having a crack at the Champions League. I'm not saying that we're not going to, but it will be pretty much, if we do well, great. If we don't, there's no dramas. Do you know what I mean?
I think me and you should go and meet up at St James's Park and maybe film a video when it is announced, Carl, do you reckon?
I think that'd be a really good idea. Might get some donuts on the way.
I'll tell you what, if you dress the same, I'll put it out. If you wear the same clothes as what you did the other day, I'll put
No
that out
problem.
public.
I think they might be at yours anyway.
Oh, I have it. It's mad now with that. Conversation for another day then. Right. So what's this? Sam's on about my new weight loss techniques. Is do you do the watch alarm of course light on you? Yeah, I heard it was Andy was saying off camera that it was a bit hot under the lights.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's ridiculous, to be honest. It is ridiculous. I forgot how bad it was because I was just stopped using them. When I was back at the old house, when I first joined you guys, I used to use them all the time, but they haven't not really needed to, and I broke it out, and I was like, yeah, I forgot how bright that was. Like, I was just shining on Andy and Sam straight away. Then Andy's mate walked past it, bless him, knocked it over. It ended up right in some other lad's eyes, so I've got them giving me grief. It's not my fault.
Can your lights do this? Alexa, turn all the lights blue.
No.
Oh. I'm a disco, yeah.
Can you get
Alexa,
it to change colour?
turn all the lights white.
Can't you get it to like do a disco?
Yes, but please don't say it because it might. You don't say it.
Alexa, do
Actually
disco party.
it's actually put the blue light on it. It's still
Do
listening.
it then.
Must
Do
be
it.
pick you up, clearly. Good. Because I don't want to disco going on in the house. Hall's younger brother, I believe, he'll be the better player, lads. Yeah. So we had Connor Hall on, who was on the Greenwood and Mulliner Show podcast about. Oh, it was when he was scoring all them goals. Sam's going to correct us in the chat exactly when it was, but it was during that FA Cup run that they had. Yeah, he's amongst the band. He's finished work, that's why he's amongst the live chat tonight. Because normally he's stuck in his shops.
I've just seen his next one.
I will show it. I'm not gonna say that out loud because that might bring some weird stuff on the internet.
I'll do it. Alexa, buy a gallant NFT.
They can hear you, but I can't make out what you're saying, which I'm happy about. But
That's
anyways,
a Brummie
we'll
accent.
get off other content creators. Never too many holes. Look at Andy's in stitches. Yeah, he kind of keep himself together.
Yeah, there's me old man. Look, get in.
And all the holes are amongst well, yeah. Yes.
Oh, Dad, I've made it. I've made it, Dad.
So, yes, all holes. Speaking of holes, let's talk about this kid because did any of you think it'll be announced today? Because I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was pictured at Man City. He was at Man City. Me and Matty, who were from the Magpie channel, he was just literally walking off in front of us, and he walked past them, refused a photo because obviously that'll go viral, won't it? But yeah, I think it's kind of happened. Is it just a case of because these deals seem to drag on, don't they, Andy? There's not like a quick once we know about them. That is.
We'd seen
I
people
think-
going into the ground, hadn't we, as well? Lee won't mention it, but we saw people walking into the ground, so we knew it was done.
Yeah. Go on, Andy.
I
Sorry.
think it's just when you deal with Chelsea, I think they'll like to drag it out, especially with I'd say it being a Champions League rival, but they don't they don't see it judging how their season started. But the more they could do to kind of upset us in any way, I suppose they'll try it. I don't know whether they're trying to add a couple of little things to the deal, but we'll see. Surely tomorrow it's done.
Yeah, there'll be stuff in his contract, like if he gets an England call up, makes a cap, or Newcastle ever win something the next during his contract. Because imagine it'll be 5 years, 6 years. There'll be loads of added clauses, and the player will want clauses as well, of course. What do you make of the signing call in terms of Livramento signed? We expect him to be a squad player. Do you expect him to knock Dan Burn out the side straight away, or will he have to bide his time?
No, he's definitely going to have to bide his time. I think he's definitely one for the future. They both are. I imagine they'll both be fantastic investments. I'm just for me, it's just mental that we're at the stage where we're spending like 30 million and almost 40 million on
Nearly
two
60
really
million.
young, yeah, on two young fullbacks that aren't gonna go straight into the squad. And it's not just us, but I think it's just mad how far football's come in terms of these ridiculous figures. And that's no disrespect to either of them, but the fact you got to pay 30 to 40 million for essentially an 18-year-old kid is insane. Absolutely insane.
It is. It's mad that we've spent 60 million on effectively two Chelsea former, there will be become a former fullback. And between the two of them, they've probably only got under 50 professional games between the two of them, which is mental. So we are taking a little bit of a risk, do you reckon, Andy, or just good money for value, or how do you say it?
I think it'll definitely play out to be money for value. When you look at the signing of Livramento, you've already got Botman there. Hall's already played. He's got that little bit of Premier League experience. I'm not expecting him to come in straight away, but I don't think it'll take him long to get up to speed. But you look if they all take on well. I mean, talking Livramento and Lewis Hall, that's our defence. All we need is a right centre half now, and then that's our defence sorted for at least 10 years.
Yeah, look, I think it's prospect buys, isn't it? I think to dislodge Teeny on the right back, Liveramento's got a really, really tough ask. I know he made his debut at right wing because of Murphy, obviously his missus being in labour and giving birth. So congratulations to him, and congratulations to our German stud. Loris Karius has also become a dad as well. So there's dads popping out everywhere, isn't it, Carl?
There is, yeah. To be fair, I'm not told the subscribers there, no. So yeah, I've
I
got
think
another
some
one on the
members
way.
know.
Yeah, the members know. The members will know. But yeah, I do have another little one on the way. To be fair, don't know what
Yeah.
the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah, it must be just Christmas time, and people are just winter, and you're more snuggled up to your missus and more often, aren't you? But
No, I don't know. Like this, I don't. I'm not convinced it's mine.
well, I'm not getting that topic right. Okay,
Postman's too friendly.
here he comes. Speak of the devil, Adam Phillips is Andy Adam P's uncle, spitting dabs of him as well. Adam is on our I would nearly said Facebook team, part of our YouTube team. Was in the last couple of weeks' shows. What he needs to do, he needs to bring that personality into these shows. None of this being all nicey on camera and or all relax. Bring that banter, Mr. Phillips, into these shows.
Putting a
We'll be
half-arse
doing.
Geordie
We'll.
accent on as well.
See this onion?
Oh bosh.
Peel them layers off. Yes, indeed. Right. Ginger White has said, we'll read out a question there quickly before we move on to the next one. Is that a question posed in another YouTube video? Are Sharon Bottom the best centre back pairing we've had in the Premier League era?
Yeah, in
Yes.
my opinion,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Hasn't been the two, like elite. No, I wouldn't say elite, but just under. I think Fabian Schär's massively improved under Eddie Howe. So yeah, 100%. I think we all are going to agree on that. Remember, keep your WhatsApp coming underneath. Call. You can see the number. It doesn't matter where you're on the world, USA, South Africa, or Australia, Europe. If you're just next door, send us a WhatsApp. And I will put my bin out if you're watching him. Next one. It's just about the wings. Hey, just me on my own. Look at that. I'm just not going to talk about this too much. But obviously, Newcastle have announced that they've got another hospitality opening. There seem to be a few now that have dotted around that have opened the last couple of weeks. And Andy, I'll come to you on this dead quickly as well. More. It's a way of making more money, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough to go to. I got free tickets to go and watch City play Villa in their Tunnel Club a
So
couple of
big
months ago.
time.
But it
My
was.
name's
I
Andy
mean,
and I'm big
that kind of
time.
experience is amazing.
Proper Tory.
I'm winding him up.
Do you know what it is? I've never done hospitality at St James's Park ever.
I
I
have.
haven't.
It's certainly a way to watch it. Like,
Is it good, is it?
Well, Sky used to have a box in there, and twice, because we always do competitions and stuff and like that at work, and I won it twice, and I said no, I'd rather be amongst the cold and the Gallagher. I mean, something's not right with us, but I'd rather be amongst the crowd and the banter and the noise and all that. I said no, I don't want to sit there under the table watching the game. Fuck that. Get me amongst it. But I know John used to.
Give us one day to try and be posh.
No, I can't be fucked. Common as they come me. But yeah, Johnny's done it a few times as well. But yeah, it's more look at the club.
Johnny wears loafers to the football. That's why I asked Gander.
Oh, I know.
Hey, at least they didn't get in
No,
loafers.
yeah, and I did come from a garden party.
Oh yeah, we're just laying in all NFTV the night hours. That's how what we're doing. Who's next? Right,
Who's next?
Steve Star. Right. We're not speaking of Joe as well. He's not on tonight. He was going to send us a clip about the women's stuff, so we'll just talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, so it's commercial money coming in for the club, which is always a good thing. Speaking of money, and this didn't go down very well, did it, Carl? Saudi Arabia are going to be playing at St James's Park not once but twice. Thoughts on this?
Do you know what? I'm over it all. Like, I do not give a flying fuck anymore. I don't care. No, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna support it. And if people think that, if people start wanting to give, oh well, you're supporting this, you're supporting that, I don't care. I really don't care. Like, what goes on in their country? Like, what am I supposed to do about that? What am I supposed to do? Like, I appreciate that people have an opinion on it, but I really don't. I just don't care anymore. Like, all I'm bothered about is the football, not anything else that's going on. And it's just fucking boring. It's boring and it's hypocritical. Everybody has skeletons in their closet, and everyone just wants to jump on about Saudi Arabia. Look at fucking Qatar for the World Cup. Everyone was happy when they're all fucking being offered whatever they were being offered. Everyone's going over to Saudi at the moment. People like Steven Gerrard and Jordan Henderson, who all had a big, massive say about it. Now look at them twerking for Saudi money. Fucking bastards.
Are you all right?
It's just, mate. I just thought I'm bored of it. Like, what can we do about it? Let's be honest. Like, what goes on over there with regards to human rights atrocities is terrible. It really is terrible. But what can we do as individuals about it? Well, all we're interested in is the football. Like, what are we supposed to do? We're trying to distance ourselves as much as possible. But if the owners want to bring Saudi Arabia over to play at St James's Park, what are we going to do? Even if we boycott it, lots of people will be coming over from Saudi Arabia. We saw it at the first game of the season.
Yeah, there's loads of
Lots.
Saudi people on
It
there.
was the first time I saw that. There was so many of them. So like, it's irrelevant whether we go or not. And I appreciate people having an opinion on it. I don't. I just don't care anymore.
The thing is, as well, though, is that the Tonali deal wouldn't have happened if we didn't have Saudi money. Because that came effectively from the seller sponsorship. Yes, Champions League helped, of course it did. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, the money on players that are on that pitch right now, some of that is from the Saudi money. So, yeah, I know. So, what I'm trying to do, yeah, sit on both sides of the fence here because I can see it, it's bad timing. But I also say that, you know, we've got Saudi money on the pitch. And then that money that's going to be used for those two friendlies, because I believe the club will be getting a fee, the tickets, the merch, the food, the drink, all of that, that's going to be put back into Newcastle United. And the first person that is signed using that money or part used, I don't know, say we get 10 million, 20 million, and we sign a £50 million midfielder, winger, whatever, in January, we're all going to be massive hypocrites because as soon as he steps over that white line, what we're going to do? We're going to cheer him.
Of course we are. And I get it, and there's people in the comments who've absolutely got, they're more than entitled to their opinion, and I don't disagree with what people are saying, but nothing's going to change. And that's not me defending the country. Nothing will change. You might think that it will, and that 52,000 Geordies boycotting a Saudi Arabia game is going to make a huge difference. It's really not. I'm sorry to tell you, it's really not going to make a difference at all. Because they will, even if it doesn't happen then, they will fill that stadium. Whether that's now, 5 years' time, it will happen. I don't support what's going on there. I didn't support anything that was going on with Qatar. I barely watched the World Cup, to be honest. That wasn't because of that. It was just because I've become disillusioned with the England team. But it's just, it happens in every walk of life. Everything we do, everything we touch has some sort of involvement with money that has come from a place that nobody would want to have their hands involved with. But the spotlight will always be on us, and like I said, I don't care anymore. And if people want to think, people can think what they want to think. I don't care.
No, I agree with you because even when the takeover, we were interviewed by, I think it was an Asian news agency. It was me, Johnny, Sam, and the first questions were about the money, where's it come from, and it's got to the point now where I can get where fans are getting frustrated because it's being brought up, and it's kind of like the club or basically from. I'm trying to think what their fans were saying on Twitter. They were saying that the club are doing it their own accord this time. So, Andy, where do you see this?
A bit like Call, like sick of the repetition. Anytime there's something comes up with the club, it refers back to that, and I think like just to repeat everything the call says, I don't think we can ignore it. It's there. It's always going to be there. That's why questions are always going to be asked. But there's not much as individuals we can really do. I know myself, I'm not going, but that's because I'm away. Um, and I mean, for a fiver, it's a good deal for the family, but I'd rather it be. When was the last time that England actually played at St James's and not at the stadium of shite? So I'd much rather it be like in England or like at the Etihad, for example, in the past had Argentina, Italy on while I was at uni. Just chance to see a little bit of better football. But for me personally, would I have went if I was here? Nah, just purely out of I've got better things to do.
And that's absolutely like understandable, and I think you know people can have their opinion. I think for me, it's more I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see the Saudi team there. I don't know why. I just am. I think even watching the Saudi Pro League from all the players that have gone over there, politics aside, I'm completely. I was really taken aback by the atmosphere. It was so much more Premier League-esque than I expected it to be. Now, whether there was a few like audio or camera tricks with the audio in terms of turning the crowd up or something like that, I don't know. But the atmosphere seemed very similar to what we've got over here, and I think that's where it is for me. With regards to stuff that goes on, none of us in here are going to agree with, people that are gay or whatever, being fucking treated the way that they get treated. Like that's just that nobody will agree with that, and nobody in their right mind will agree with that. But we're not we're not talking about that. We don't support that at all. What do you want us to do? Not wear a black and white shirt? A club that I've supported for 35 years. You
Yeah,
know,
it's going to be thrown over and over again, but you're going to have your sorry to bring it up, Carl, but you're going to have your journalists like Ollie Holt, Miguel Delaney, who's want to talk.
fuck that idiot.
He needs to look who his boss is because
Like,
he needs to just delve in and who's paying his wages. And all of these people that went out to Qatar, including people like the BBC pundits,
every one of them.
in particular the ones who said out that they weren't going to go, but money talks, isn't it?
Of
They're
course
all
it
out
does.
there.
It's the same with golf. It's the same with golf. The PGA literally turned around and said they were not going to get involved with Live, and everyone was boycotting it. Now look at it. Now look at it.
I'm going to
They're
Scooby Doo good golf, so
all getting paid from it. F1, there's big influx from Saudi money, and there'll be more. Manchester United have always had money from Saudi sponsorships. Man City have obviously got it with Qatar. Nobody agrees with what's going on in the Far East. But what can we do? It's all right saying, oh, well, we can do this and we can do that. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference. All I can do is go about my daily life, respect people for their views and respect what they do, respect how they want to live their life. That's all I can do and enjoy watching the football. I can't do anything about what's going on in Saudi Arabia.
no,
That's
I
it.
agree. I went out, that I went out there myself, and I actually loved it. I was a little bit skeptical, thinking, "Ooh, what's it going to be like?" But I was perfectly fine walking around on my own, and there's really well built up areas. The people are absolutely fantastic with me, and the country does get labelled because of the hierarchy who they are, but ordinary Saudi citizens are absolutely spot on, 100%. So we'll welcome them at St James's Park without a shadow of a doubt when they come over. And we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, I might be there. It depends on my work schedule. If I'm there, my money will go back into supporting the club, and I'm fine to say that. I'm absolutely perfectly fine to say that. But yeah, we'll move on from that. Something a little bit more lighter. The Amazon documentary, episode 2. Mind you, episode 3 and 4 were leaked very, very quickly, not so long. We will come to that in a second. But Andy, episode 2 was shown last Thursday night, and it was all about the Carabao Cup final and, of course, the Salah sponsorship. What did you make of that episode?
again, it's the whole behind the scene things to see how a football club's getting run. It's really intriguing. I mean, when I got to the cup final, I'll admit the games when it was showing the game highlights, I was just like, nah, don't need to watch that. I'm skipping past that. I had enough trauma on the day. No, thank you. But yeah, seeing the whole kind of process behind the deals, because basically through a friend I knew, for Sam Fender, they were wanting to have Sam wear the new home shirt on his gig at St James's, but there was still the ongoings of sponsorship decision.
Who would it be?
Yeah, and that's why that didn't happen. But it's just that intriguing to see. Like it's really opened the doors to how a football club's being run. And you're learning stuff. It's educational. I think it's really educational. Like, you learn loads about how a football's run. All these people that are behind the scenes, the decision makers and the hierarchy of how it works. It is really intriguing.
The thing I liked about the call was seeing Amanda, and and I'll quote her words, pissed off. And do you know what it is? I like that because it shows that she cares, she's passionate about it. Yes, she's not a Newcastle supporter, but she's obviously grew up in Ripon, which isn't a million miles from here. So the passion that she has, that she's got for this club, showed in that episode abundance for me.
Yeah, it was. I echo what Andrew says. It was really obviously the first episode was really emotional, the second as well, but it was really intriguing to look at things from behind the scenes, especially being involved in finances and doing business on a much smaller scale than them, obviously, but just seeing how that the football club operates to a certain extent behind the scenes was really really eye opening, really interesting. I love that sort of stuff, and like you said, seeing the emotion that comes with it as well, and just seeing that they are human beings as well. Then it's not all about um, you know going out and splashing the cash, like the trying to use their logic and emotion, and sometimes trying to take emotion out of it as well. It's class. I've really enjoyed it so far.
Yes, and then of course we're seeing the leaks. Now we're
I
not
haven't
going to say
actually managed to watch that episode,
I
to be
I
fair.
haven't I haven't watched third or fourth, but I'm not going to say we're ITKs because we would never say that NFTV. But we've known about the Adidas sponsorship for quite a while now. Obviously we can't say anything because it'll get certain people into trouble. But Andy, obviously that was leaked, and that's kind of like forced the club to kind of like put out like a half effort, kind of because they weren't ready for it. There'll be some serious upset people at Newcastle about that.
Well, I can imagine there's a big lawsuit coming on for the club towards Amazon, just with because of how it could implicate deals this window. Now people are going to know we've got that influx of cash coming in. It might not help with obviously the outgoings that we need to budge on now. But listen, Carl will tell you Saturday when it all came out, I was brimming from ear to ear before kick off. And I mean, make sure to check out NFTV Extra, where me and
Yeah.
Sam, sorry, I forgot Sam's name there, bloody hell.
We all do.
um, we talked about it in a little bit of detail just to make sure the setup was all good. But yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing that Adidas is back. They're my favourite kit supplier. They just there's not many kits that do wrong, and I mean, especially when you look at Arsenal's. I mean, apart from that god awful kit they're playing in at the minute, they just know what they're doing when it comes to making kits.
Yeah, and Amazon has been made worldwide. I put it on with Discord earlier. Jay in Atlanta, who is a massive fan of ours, and I'm a massive fan of him as well. So yeah, so it's worldwide as well. But we could talk about it now, Carl. Adidas are back, and I know straight away you're going to think you're going to circle all the way back to you a kid, brown ale, black and white, the team, the Keegan era. It's nostalgic, isn't it?
Massively so, mate. It is, and obviously Andrew's right. It was good him and Sam having a chat about it, and I don't think it's really sunk in yet, even though it's been announced. Like, I'm just really intrigued to see what they're going to do because I mentioned to Andy, I was some of the stuff, not even the training gear, some of the kind of streetwear merchandise that they've put out for Arsenal that you won't necessarily see in a club shop, but it will be sold in Adidas outlets, and then sometimes it might end up in TK Maxx. Like, I come across this long kind of coach's puffer coat really out there. And I looked and it hadn't, and realised it was an Arsenal coat. And honestly, if it hadn't have had the Arsenal badge on it, I would have bought it. I was still tempted to buy it. It was that cool. You know what I'm like for wearing rascal stuff. So I'm really excited to see that side of it as well. Like, it is really nostalgic. It feels like everything's come full circle, and like we're going to have a decade of a fantastic era again. Yeah, it's starting to sink in, so I can't wait. I'm really interested to see what they're going to do, because there's a lot of pressure on them as well. But I think Andrew mentioned it. I'd imagine they've already got their design sorted. I think Andrew said that, to be fair.
I think they'll play on the nostalgia. I said in that video, I think they'll play on the 95, 96
You did, yeah.
away. Yeah, I think that's what it'll be for the home and away, and then will the third or the away shirt, sorry, will that be Saudi inspired? You'd probably think so again, judging by how the first 2 seasons have went under the ownership. So I just can't wait for all the stuff to come out. Even like Carl said, the streetwear stuff, like with how early this deal's been done and Adidas excited to announce it now, I think we're going to get some bespoke kit.
Just having Adam on the wind up again. I can just imagine if Adidas released like a luminous yellow or luminous orange colour, it's got to be straight there.
Oh, yeah, like a fucking fly to shit, mate.
Adam will be able to tell us all about the Adidas stuff from all the Sunderland stuff he's got in his closet from pre-takeover.
Oh, he's come to watch it. It's in the closet, isn't it? Because he's came out the closet to get them all, hasn't he? All them Sunderland tops, peg after peg. But yeah, that was the Amazon stuff as well. Now I wanted to talk about
What kit are Arsenal playing in tonight, by the way? Because obviously everyone's mentioning it's crap.
That god awful green one.
I haven't seen it.
The lines all over the shop on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, people must have it on in the background as well. But we'll come on to the Green King just before we kick you off, Colin, in a sec. But one more thing to talk about was whereas Halifax, they put on their statement saying that our opponents disagreed with it. And
yeah,
all
you
that
might want to start that bit again, mate, because I think the audio went off when you went to Twitter.
When I went to Twitter, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're back now. But that was basically just a script of what was on that video there. Halifax basically just said, Carl, that they're not playing against Newcastle because of the Women's World Cup, but Newcastle rejected it. And then
Newcastle rejected.
No, Halifax said we're not playing because of the World Cup final.
Yeah.
And then they said our opponents rejected it. That's all that was said. And then Newcastle put a statement out saying, well, wait a minute, we've offered you a delayed kick-off, refreshments for free, and a private room away so you can watch the game. Now, there's a lot of comments.
And Halifax obviously left that out of the tweet.
Yes. And then there's obviously Halifax fans are saying, oh, Newcastle this, Newcastle that. And then obviously...
keep playing on the thing like, it's because they've got Saudi owners. We hate women. We hate women. Like,
there was a comment about that Saudi who hate women. I had to correct them, and I corrected them saying, well, we've actually got a professional football team.
That's how desperate this era is, that a club has had to come out on Twitter to do that, to try and get attention. It's pathetic.
Yeah. And then, obviously, I had me 50 pence saying it. I had to have me 50 pence saying it. But we've got a clip. That was the women's stuff as well. But I hope we batter them. I hope we absolutely fucking batter them when we play them next. It'll piss me off. But anyways, back to more positive stuff. We've got a little clip from the pub the other night. Take a look at this.
Look, Lee is there for us tonight, so you'll still get all the post-match coverage you're accustomed to on Newcastle Fans TV, the match reaction, the away day vlog, the last word. If you've enjoyed watching us along with us tonight, hit that like button. We're going to be doing plenty more here this season. We're going to be having Champions League nights here. We're going to be having away day nights up here as well, so you get the best of both worlds. We're at every game still. We always will be. Whether we're in America, Europe, Saudi Arabia, or Manchester.
And I have to say the performances of the night come from the Green King bar staff and producer Carl. What a job.
Shout out, big shout out for Carl,
We
and I
need
want to
a
see
producer
lots of love in the
Cam.
comments for
We've got
Carl.
one now, but we need one constantly.
So that was a clip which I nicked off your Facebook to put on the show tonight. But we hosted with, well, it was our first probably big live event. We've talked about it to the years that would love to do like a pub Q&A and all this sort of stuff. And this is kind of like, thanks to our sponsors, Green King. We've got the ability to do it. Obviously, Carl's tech, my tech put together. But I'm going to big you up, Carl. I'm going to let Andy big you up first of all. So, Andy, how did the night go? How did Carl get on?
Amazing. Like I said, hot. Very, very hot with that box light. But yeah, it was amazing. Apart from a couple, well, the one of my mates that couldn't follow Sam's arrows that he
I
got
felt
quite
bad
upset
for
about.
him because honestly,
Yeah.
I wasn't that fussed, but Sam just made it so obvious. Like, especially when he turned around and he just like, some people are thick. It's like, fucking hell.
I think we definitely need a call cam. I'll say that again for Carl, because I mean that he did such a sick job for that being the first one we've done there. You'd have thought would have done it at least 10 times. It was class, and I already can't wait for the next one we do.
Yeah, a couple of nice comments there saying Jane Atlanta loved it, Ginger White's loved it, and Bob's obviously one about the football, and I think Arsenal went 1-0 in front tonight. Andy, I thought his name was Tim. Do you want to tell us that story? Why is it Tim?
Tiny Tim, man.
Oh right, okay.
I just have to say, like for the Halifax game, I've already picked my shirt that I'll be coming along in.
Oh, you should. You just stand in the home, stand in the home end for that. Just that alone. Yeah, but yeah, we're gonna do more. So, Carl, how did it go for you? Were you bricking it? Were you nervous? Were you confident?
Do you know what, mate? I was very confident on the day. I was nervous a couple of days before, just because we hadn't had a chance to get down there, and I'd never actually been to the junction before, so I wasn't completely aware of what space we were going to be in. And then I wanted to do a 2-camera setup all day. Borrowed your camera, which is an absolute workhorse, which was great. But obviously realised if we were going to do it live, didn't actually have a cable for it to go live. So I was like, I've left it too late to try and get one. And then some guy popped up on Facebook with, I know this will bore people, but yeah, just popped up on Facebook with a cable that's almost impossible to get from a shop, which was really, really helpful. So we managed to get it all set up live. Did the test like Andy said, that went really well. Then we had a few tech issues with one of the cameras, but it was, I think, I used to do a production for live telly with jewellery, which was boring, but it taught me a lot. So being able to bring that over to this is really helpful. And I think not a lot of people realise how much like really good tech we have between us. And I just don't think any of us have had the time to get together properly and really utilise it. And Green King have obviously given us an opportunity to do it. The subscribers have given us the opportunity to earn the money that we have to be able to invest it in the equipment. So I thank them so much. And Andy spoke about it as well. Like, he's got his drive back for content creation, and this channel did that for me from the very start. And I know it's kind of drummed down a little bit, but now I've got a bit of a spark back, and I've said to you I'd rather be behind the camera at the moment to do more of this sort of stuff with you rather than be in front of it. And I just think that we're going to progress in a completely different avenue to everybody else in the space at the moment. And I feel like we did that 2 years ago. I do genuinely feel like we have a look at some of the bigger channels that are different clubs. We try and emulate what they're doing, and then I no disrespect to any other YouTube channels in the Newcastle space, but I do feel like then they start to kind of look at our content and think, okay, well, what can we do to do that a bit better? So yeah, to have the opportunity from Green King was fantastic. The staff were absolutely amazing, especially considering they weren't, because of a communication issue, they actually didn't know we were turning up on the day. So I rung ahead and they had no idea that we're turning up. So it was, all in all, it was really good. And it'd be brilliant to have some of the subscribers and the members come along to the next ones, because Andy's pals made up for the atmosphere in the back. And we were worried about the sound as well, because obviously we've got everything on, so we're thinking, copyright issues. But because of the mics that we've got from yourself, it kind of
background out a little bit.
Yeah, it does massively
The
so.
podcast,
So it
mate.
just sounded like we had atmosphere, which was fantastic. So it worked really, really well. And after watching it back, I was like, oh, it's exactly what I wanted it to look like. So yeah, there's lots to work on though.
Yeah,
Lots of ideas from people as well. So
yeah, and we're going to start using that. So we're going to be thinking we're heads on for the channel as well, where we're an international break. I was speaking to Andy as well. We'll meet up and do loads of videos, and even other YouTube channels as well. We'll get them on board as well, whether in the pub or doesn't have to be pub, it could be hotel or whatever. There's loads of stuff to play around with the podcast, Johnny's and Sam's podcast. There's loads to play around with as well. Adam says he missed half the game, anyways. The watch along because of Andy's mate working in front of the camera. But Ginger Wits is desperate to help you, Carl, with some stats as well.
yeah, he's mentioned it before, and I do apologise for not getting back to him. We do definitely need to meet up and have a chat about it because he spoke to me and
He's in the
said he's got
Discord
some
quite a
really
lot.
interesting stuff. So
Get back
yeah,
on
I
the
need
Discord.
to. We definitely do. Definitely do.
Yeah, because he mentions that quite a lot in the Discord as well,
Yeah, I know.
which you can subscribe to, which is only 99 pence under this video, and you'll see what I mean by that because we chat to our members. You get a few videos of me about the monthly stuff and Sam and Johnny, the podcast coming up, etc., etc. But yeah, that is it. We're halfway through. Jay's just gone on to say there I thought it was class. We'll have it on every match for me as well, so he's very positive about that as well. I did pick Jay's brains as well, so he's another one I picked out in America and on WhatsApp as well. What do you think the channel? Where can we go here and there and everywhere?
This is it though. Like I don't think people realise. Like I think we're all open and saying we've probably lost a bit of the engagement that we had before on camera. But we speak to so many of the subscribers behind the scenes to see what we can do to improve it. And I think, like you said, we're going to make a real effort at that this year.
Yeah, 100%. Right, okay. Carl, are you leaving us then?
Legends. Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Right, Carl's going to leave us. He's got things to do. So me and Andy will crack on for the second half. I'll put a different banner on as well. So we'll kick Carl out. There we go. And there's just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Andy and I. Right, we're going to switch the focus to, remember, get your WhatsApp in. Shall we have a look at the WhatsApp now? Why not? Do you know what it is? I've totally forgot how to do it again, but I'll find it. Where was I? That would help if I could share my screen, not share video, share screen into our WhatsApp as well. So here we're gone. I'll put this into Josh's comment because he was the first one, and I'll put it on screen. Here we are. Ooh, I don't like that. Let's make that full screen, and we'll get rid of that. Right, okay, here we go. So the first one from Josh, and I'll read this out to you if you cannot say Andy. Hi, Lane crew. I met you over at the New Jersey tailgate. I was the one who gave you a pint. Do you think we will see an Anderson start over Joe this weekend, regardless of the injury status? And I think Anderson handled Man City's press better. So what do you think on Anderson, first of all?
No, I think we'll probably remain unchanged if Joe Linton's fit. If he isn't, I still think it would probably be Sean Longstaff to come in. But I have to say myself after Saturday night, for me it would be Miggy is the one to come out. He just wasn't at it. I think going with Gordon down the right hand side and starting Harvey Barnes on the left would be the better option.
Yeah, and Joe, thank you very much for that pint as well. Probably needed because it was absolutely red hot in all week. And I mean, I sat on the coach for 18 hours. That nearly killed me. But yeah, even everywhere we went, New Jersey, New York, all the states we traveled through, it was red hot. So fantastic week to live long in the memory. So great to meet you, Josh, as well. I'm calling you Joe, aren't I? Instead of Josh. But because you mentioned Joe Linton. But yeah, so we'll move on to the next one as well. Sam's been funny, as you can see at the top, because he knows that the WhatsApp screen is on. I'm going to hurry up because I know Adam will be jumping on it as well. How do you feel about the consistent criticism of Miggy as soon as we lose the game, Andy? Is he a scapegoat?
He just wasn't at it, was he? And unfortunately, I think because of it being Miggy and what he's been like in prior seasons and prior to his purple patch before the World Cup, I think he's always going to be kind of vulnerable to the stick. But I think from Saturday night, I think it was justified. It just wasn't at the races. Looked missing. His usual kind of press wasn't there. And I think just for Liverpool, I would maybe try just going with Gordon on the right and then Barnes on the left.
Interesting. We will talk about City coming up. Adam's gone to say he loves the show. Send nudes, says Adam. Adam, you need to stop asking these questions. Sam asks, do you still have the rash down there? And but I keep telling you, your mum needs to stop coming around my house. That's, it needs to stop. Callum's gone out and say, hi, were you surprised that Adidas returned? Sorry, I said it. Don't be sorry, Callum. No, we weren't surprised because we're not an ITK, but we've got a very, very good person who knows a lot of stuff. That's what I will say. Hussein says, loving the show, lads. I want to say, do you think Botman is getting the appreciation he deserves? Feel as though he's gone under the radar from the praise the midfield and the attack have been getting. It's a very good point, I feel, Andy, because I thought Botman was absolutely sensational.
He was ace. He was absolutely ace, and he kept us in the game a lot of the time in that game. And then his record against Haaland as well is outstanding. He's a quality centre half. What is he? 23. He's ridiculous. He's certainly, I think, hands down top 5 centre half in the world at the minute. He's untouchable.
Well, since we're talking about City, we'll go on to it because he was absolutely sensational. For me, he's Newcastle's man of the match.
Yeah,
and Haaland, I said to me, I think it was the last word I said, Haaland is so strong. The amount of times that he was holding Botman off and also Botman holding his own as well. It was a fantastic battle. And Haaland, once he's played, there's 2 times Haaland has played, I've seen this as a stat, when he's played at home, the full 90 minutes, there's only 2 times he's played full 90 minutes and not scored, and those 2 oppositions were us. Both Botman in that side as well, both of us. But let's talk about it. I'm going to put on. Let's put us to the scene. You can still hear us as well. Can you hear me all right, Andy?
Yeah.
That was the lineup. Surprised?
Sorry, cut out.
With the lineup?
What, that we kept it the same? No,
Yeah.
I didn't think after the thrashing of Villa that we would make a change. And it was nice to see that it was a lineup. You know, some people always change the lineups when they play City to be that bit more defensive, and I think we were quite defensive during the game, but that was just because City was so hard to break down when we were going forward. I mean, they kind of matched our intensity. We were going forward, they would have 10 men forward, and then as soon as we were breaking, they had 10 men back. There's a reason why they're the best club team in the world at the minute, and I don't think we can grovel at losing 1-0.
I just want to touch on this comment as well because there's a couple of people mentioning Bruno. I've seen Bruno get quite a bit of stick actually on social media. Normally after a match, I'm not on social media because I'm always video editing and stuff, but sometimes I'll pop on when I'm putting like photos and videos and whatever. I thought Joe Linton wasn't a great either. I don't think any of them midfield 3 were, but Bruno was kind of like picked at bit harsh, I felt, Andy.
It's just like we've gone through years of watching the likes of Jack Cole back in centre mid, man, and it's just I cannot believe people are turning on Bruno after one game against the best team in the world that he didn't stand out. Of course, you're not going to stand out when you're going up against Rodri's arguably the best defensive midfielder in the world at the minute. He's kept the best midfielders in, like the other best midfielders in the world. Bruno's going to be a bit quieter. It's just the second game into the season, and you're giving arguably the best player in the squad flack because he's had one game where he's been a bit quiet. He wasn't bad in that Villa game. He made some of the flicks and turns he was making away from the defence. He makes stuff happen out of nothing. And we're going to see that later on in the season when we're playing the lesser opposition like Liverpool next weekend, when him and Tonali link up, and if Joe Linton's back to fully fitness, it's not going to be a problem. It's just because we were playing the best team in the world.
Defensively, I thought we were fine. I thought Botman, brilliant. I thought Shea was decent. I thought Trippier was decent. Byrne was all right. I don't think Pope was massively tested, but going forward though, you know, where do you stand on it? Do you think like what if? Because I think what if, because I thought this was a game that we could have at least got a point out of it. Or do you look at the other picture and think, wait a minute, we're just champions?
I totally agree with the what if point, because I think what if Isak had still been on the pitch when we had that breakaway when it was Callum Wilson, I think we would have scored. I think that's where I really like Isak in our system, because he can carry the ball forward. Meanwhile, Callum Wilson's your typical number 9 poacher. I mean, he's improved on the ball. Don't get us wrong, but in that situation, you need Isak, and I think we probably would have scored.
Yeah, Manchester Blue was giving you some stick in the old videos, so I give him. Oh, I did. I jumped back on it as well. I told him that I go to more Manchester City games than what he does. But there you go. Sean, I don't know what matches you've been watching as well. Look, Bruno hasn't been at his. I'll say it as well. Bruno hasn't been at the least what he was. The back end of the season, he did have an ankle injury and he was playing through the pain bar, and he really shouldn't have went away with Brazil. To be honest with you, he should have nursed that, but he did. He went away, but I think Bruno isn't always going to be the standout now because he's got Tonali next to him now.
Yeah,
Kind of competing in a healthy way, and then you got Joe Linton, who's just a beast. So you're not always going to have. He is world class. He's a standout. Now we've got better options midfield that might be like more of a closer playing field, but. Look, I think the criticism Bruno's a little bit harsh. He's not on the highest form, no, but it will come back. I'm really, really confident that it will. And if you ask me, would you start him again next weekend? Hell yeah.
100%. He'll drop an absolute whirly this weekend, watch.
Yeah, I would agree on that as well. I just want to talk about the goal. What do you make of it? Because it's a hell of a strike,
Yeah.
but it's the only time I felt that we lost real concentration because Burner's obviously there. I can't remember. There's two players that are dragged out, and then Alvarez is free just inside the box. And don't get me wrong, the hell of a hit, but it's probably one of the few times that we fell asleep.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like the best team in the world. You've got to be concentrating the whole time, and when you do drop that little bit, it can be the slightest bit of concentration. They'll pounce on it, and that's what happened. And I mean, Julian Alvarez was threatening the whole game before that anyway, and then just Phil Foden was the difference maker. I think if
100%.
he hadn't been on the pitch, it would have been a totally different game. He was just, I think he's obviously seen the comments that this season needs to be the one where he cements his spot in that City team, because I mean he just turned it up to a whole different level against us. That's I think that'll be the best individual performance we'll see against us this season.
Yeah, Foden was phenomenal. Seeing it in action as well. Some parts he's picked the ball up at right back and just confidently going through, and he's creating space. He likes to be in the pockets as well. I thought it was really, really clever, intelligent play from Foden as well. And we do have a clip on what Guardiola said about Newcastle, which I will play in a minute. But just want to take a look at a few of the stats on that came from the game as well. Of course, going forward again, you look at those stats and it doesn't look great reading for Newcastle going forward. But it's Manchester City. Do you expect them stats to be high, especially the shot on target against Liverpool?
Yeah. Honestly, like, you know what I said for the Villa game, where I said I think we can thrash them. I think this will be another high scoring one. I don't think it'll be as big of a margin of a win, but I think we could be looking at a 4-3, a 4-2. I think both teams will be right up for it, and I don't think that Endo for Liverpool, I don't think he's their answer, and they've shown that they've got that gap in the number 6. Losing McAllister's a massive thing, so I think obviously bouncing back from Saturday, I think we'll be right up for it, and I think we'll get a few.
Just on that as well, obviously with City, you'll see a few of the different stats as we're chatting around here. The possession one, there wasn't massive amounts, 40, 41. I've seen that a lot less down the years, in the 20s even. Obviously, the duels of not far off were much better in the air as well. It's one of them, and it's like it's just the difference between us and Man City, because Stuart Pearce said it, that Newcastle can go on and win the league. I don't agree with that. I think there's still. Are we? Where's the aim?
The Champions League, I think to get top, well, it's top 5, I think, this year, isn't it?
Well, it will, yeah.
I think it'll be comfortable top 4. There'll be some socials coming out on Green Kings soon of me and Sam giving out predictions. My top 4 is actually City, Newcastle, Arsenal, and Brighton. But this is why City won the league last year. They've just got so much squad depth. I know it looked thin against us, and Pep didn't make any substitutions, but they've just got that little bit about them where they don't just win 1 or 2 in a row. They'll go and they'll just win 10 on the bounce, and they might be 10 points behind. They'll just catch you like that. They're a ridiculous team.
But also, Liverpool are capable. Look at the back end of last season.
Yeah.
Liverpool are capable of going on a daft run. I agree with you about the Endo thing. I don't think that's probably their third or fourth choice.
Bye.
Yeah, well, look at how old is he? 30, Endo?
Yeah, well, he's older than Henderson. Older than Fabinho, sorry. He's older than Fabinho. So he's older than the player he's replacing.
And you probably say Fabinho's a better player.
Yeah.
So that goes to show I don't think Liverpool have got their man, because obviously they went after Caicedo, Lavia, they've turned him down.
Well, that's the thing. Chelsea have massively cocked Liverpool's window up for them because it exposed. Well, it showed that they were publicly bidden in the first place that you should never get involved with, because then that's giving away how much you have to spend on that midfielder. So people now know, right, you've got 110 million to spend on a player. So then they go to Southampton, still try to lowball Southampton, to which then the players seen another player turn them down, then thought, well, if he doesn't think they're good enough, then they're probably not good enough for me either. So then he's going away. So now they've had to go elsewhere and take a whole gamble on a player that's older than the player you sold.
Josh just said, I'm a Stuttgart fan as well. I'm not saying Endo as good as the others, but they missed on. They missed on but Endo's solid on the ball. I know, but it's not really an upgrade on Fabinho, is it? As Hardy turns over, says Josh. But yeah, we're not talking about too much about Liverpool, but the side of things, obviously Liverpool are on the horizon, which we'll probably do a video towards the end of the week about that as well. But I do want to touch upon what Pep said, because I thought it was really, really interesting what he said about Newcastle. Take a look at this.
Newcastle is an exceptional team. And we spoke a lot, so if we gave an open game, the transition games, they will destroy us. So you have to make a lot of control with a lot of passes. That's why I put a lot of players in the middle to have extra passes. In the right moment, we will find the moment. And Manu, again, in the position never playing his life, like holding midfielder left, and with Rodri, with Kova, with Phil, with Julian, with Kyle. Therefore, has done offensive, defensively with Jack. Still, they have not that brilliant, in the final third. We need him, but what can I say when he behaved against Trippier, against Almiron, helping Josko, and all the time? When you see that, after when we are done, what can you say?
I find that so fascinating. That tells me he's worried that he couldn't play his normal Manchester City game, go toe-to-toe with Newcastle, because he described Newcastle as a dangerous team.
Well, Pep's always been very complimentary of us, especially under house management anyway. And he's a classy manager. You'll see it how it is, but he's not like Klopp or like any other ones where they'll whinge on and say like, oh, well, Newcastle play like this and this, that and that. Pep comes out and this is what elite managers are like. They'll come out and say, look, I've had to change my game plan because this is how Newcastle play. Well, other managers won't like to admit it, and some of them are stubborn, and this is why we went and hammered Villa, because Emery thought he could go toe to toe with us. There's not many teams can. City can, and they're the best bloody team in the world. But look, we turned over Villa. I think if Liverpool come up here and they try and do it here, we'll turn them over. I think any team that comes up to St James's this season, I think away is a different story, but any team tries to do that at St James's this season will turn them over.
Especially the atmosphere. I mean, the first game, that corner right next to me, that was just like, I just looked and went,
it was electric the whole game.
It was absolutely brilliant. More of it, and obviously the home atmosphere is a total different kettle of fish. There's not many home atmospheres that are brilliant, and Newcastle do have one of them. But interesting that you mentioned also in that little clip there you brought, obviously Kanji was effectively, he was a centre back, but he wasn't really. He was playing in that left centre midfield role because again, he was worried about Newcastle, and that's more again. You mentioned it there, Andy, that complementary to how we play. The gap is. Yes, City are still way above us, but that gap is shortened down, I think.
100%, especially with the cover we've got coming in as well. So with the likes of Livermento coming through, give him some time. We'll start to be able to... You can see where we can take... Like Villa, when we went 3-1 up, we kind of not turned it off, but just controlled the game, lowered the intensity, and kept a hold of the game. Well, I think when you've got the likes of Livermento, Murphy coming back who can keep that press up, we'll see that intensity last for the full game, and I think we'll just be relentless. I honestly think there'll be a game this season where we score over 7.
Over 7.
Over 7. I think we'll do
Over
the
7 you
Chef
do
Wed.
know. You do know over
Well,
7 means 8.
Well, no, but I mean like 8, 9,
7+.
10. Like, I mean, it's a shame Southampton aren't in the league because they like getting a 9-0 against them. But well,
That's how-
Villa, we missed a couple of chances. Villa could have been 8 or 9.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe that'll happen if we get a lower league team in the league, the third round of the League Cup or something. I don't know, but I'd love that in the Champions League. But yeah, we went down. It was a case of what if. You've seen my reactions. You've seen Annie's and Sam's in the pub watch along. It was what could have been. The gap is getting smaller. Looks at European champions. We've got to think like that, but they're not like where 18 months ago Newcastle are way back here. We are a lot more closer to them. Don't get me wrong. There's still a hell of a long way to go, but the Champions League run is going to be tight. At Chelsea, yes, they got beat. They've only got 1 point, but they'll be somewhere near thereabouts. I think they'll pick up form. They don't have any European competition. Spurs, I don't think will be anywhere near it, but Liverpool will be a lot hotter on their case. Brighton, look at Brighton in the minute. We've got to play them in a couple of weeks. So yeah, it's interesting the top 4 race, but I do want to touch upon a couple of negatives. You probably know where I'm going to go with this. That's the match stuff. But beforehand, Andy, not great, was it? The whole ticket and fiasco. First of all, I'll put a clip on as well. I'll put my cameras in as well whilst I do this. Situation with this. I'll make sure I get this right. Come on, Lee. Sort your act out there again. So you can see the fans are
Swell the
queuing.
bed's made.
No, I didn't preload them in. So it's my fault. This is what happens when you're live, when you forget the smallest details. But you can see the fans coming in at the gate there, which looks fine, doesn't it? But there was cases where during going in as well, I know 2 individuals who had digital card, 3 actually, who had digital cards. One of them went to the box office, got a paper ticket, got in fine, but the other 2 didn't. And now if you think like why, the reasons behind it we don't know, but they've gone all the way to Manchester, paid that money, and then a match ticket on top, so you're talking at least 70 quid. And these are lasses as well. What if this happens at Brighton?
Exactly. Well, first of all, I think if they've got the proof there, which
Yeah,
I've seen one instance they definitely do,
yeah.
then they should be able to go to the club not only for a refund for the ticket, but a refund for the travel there, because it's just been an absolute sham. I know this process is going to be trial and error, but I just wish they'd stuck to the paper tickets. And I guess I know that it's meant to be more environmentally friendly, less paper printed off and stuff like that, but it's so nice having that memento that I keep all my match tickets. I hate that my Villa one's on my phone. It's just
I do. I'm with that as well because I have all my tickets in a drawer. I've got tickets like down the years where I've been to, and the club have done it to stop people who shouldn't be there. That's what I will. Who shouldn't be there.
Have you seen the reselling sites for the Liverpool game?
Yeah, and there's reselling sites and there's third party. And I know it's fine in America, and America's very different because you're allowed to do all of that. And and when I was in America as well, the 2 out of the 3 games that I had, your digital ticket has a live scanning code on it, so it goes up and down. So that's totally different. So it's to stop people who shouldn't be there and people who are buying things like kids tickets when they're an adult. People who could be banned. It could also be people who don't have enough points. It's that kind of stuff. I get why the club are doing it. It's teething problems. I think it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. But the way it's been handled at outside City, I've just seen them 2 lasses. I fell for them because if I tell you, if I go to Brighton and I pay 100 quid fuel to Brighton, a hotel, which is probably not paid for me a hotel now, I've just done it today, 65 quid. Well, it's in Crawley, but fair enough. And then the match tickets, and then you're doing that. What if you're a girl? What if it's winter? Yeah, what if it's winter?
Exactly. I just think that in terms of the away tickets, they've tried to they're trying to answer a question that wasn't being asked and doing it the totally wrong way as well. It's just I get that they're trying to make sure that it's the right people going to the games and stuff, but I've seen that like people picking up away tickets where they weren't getting a go, and it's just I don't
It's
know.
hard.
I
It's
think
hard for them as
they
well.
should have stuck with paper tickets. Tried it with the paper tickets, and then gone to digital rather than trying to enforce it straight onto the digital ones, and then given dud ones as well to go to a box office, which is even more confusion on a match day. It's just I, it's a sticky one, isn't it?
Teething problems. I think
Yeah, it is. It
potentially will
is.
grind
It's
you, but
teething and trial and error, but I think they should have done it totally paper to start off with, and then said, right, it's working. We'll trial it with the digital. But instead, they've dived straight in, and it's just not worked.
there's a lot of teething problems, as Ginger Wets has just said there. There's a lot of people looking at Arsenal. Their game
Yeah,
was delayed. The first league game of the season. It will get better. I totally agree on that as well. But like I say, it could happen to Brighton, and you don't want to go all the way, which is effectively literally the other end of the country. And it's not safe either. It's
no,
if you're on your own. Like I travel a lot on my own, and I meet everybody there. I'm all right. I think I can handle myself. But if you're a young lass, and you've got to walk half a mile to the train station in the dark and you can't get a ticket, and it doesn't look great. But hopefully that gets sorted out, because there is, I think, a quarter. I might be wrong on this. A quarter of the Brighton tickets are going to be digital as well. So we'll have to wait and see on this as well. I will mention this as well. We did originally. We have blurred the faces out. And I know another YouTube channel has actually done an interview with them, so which kind of makes this obsolete basically, but it's still to protect them, because it could still obviously be used in court. But what do you make of this situation? Do you think this is just heavy-handed?
well, it's again. I've listened to said interview, and they've gone down. They haven't got a match ticket. They're on, which I know it's fair play. They've said they didn't know they were, but I think having been that's where my uni was based. It's the car parks are quite obviously on the land of the stadium, and I guess the counter argument is, having seen when the City team arrives, there's loads of blue flares going on. Then if you see it from the
Liverpool,
other end, there's
we've got
loads of
Liverpool fans.
going on there. But I think it's been an opportunity. I think security wise, it's always tense around grounds in Manchester. Obviously, with what's happened a few years back. But I think they'll have been wanting to jump on it, especially with the being told that there's going to be these extra checks. They'll have wanted to be. There's no other way to say it than they'll have wanted to be shit hot and not get seen to be caught out with anything. So I think, unfortunately for them too, wrong place, wrong time.
It is, and it's like it is heavy-handed, because they're gonna now get put to court, and some video evidence, because the police didn't have any, and that's why I blurred their faces. More concerned about them, and also the police asking for evidence, because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. That's why I blurred the faces, and I'm still adamant on that, because the lads have done the interview with another YouTube channel, but maybe they shouldn't have done that, because that
Yeah,
footage now could be used against them in court. But they've done it. It's daft. I just think it's daftness, man. The whole thing. I mean, all that ticketing thing and that incident all happened in the space of just 5 minutes. It was like
yeah.
bang. It was like, what is going on here? But flares, and you're getting arrested. And I just hope they get just a slap on the wrist and a soft fine.
I think they will, but they'll be wanting to make a point of it, because I think you see, like, when teams are getting into Europe, like, across Europe, where they've got like the flares and smoke bombs and stuff. I think with how shit hot we are on safety in our stadiums with what's happened years gone, I think instances like that, they'll do it on the day. It'll be heavy handed, but then I think they'll get a slap on the wrist. That they might get a ban. I don't think I wouldn't expect it
Give
to
them
be
a
a
few
long
hours
one.
community service and just get over
Yeah,
and get it done with.
but it's just look. At the end of the day, they just need a look, lads. Don't be daft. Like,
It wasn't,
think about what you're doing.
there wasn't any endeavour to go and hurt somebody. It was just
Yeah,
having a bit of fun. They'll only go off in minutes. Just give them a slap, give them 4 hours, 8 hours community service, get over it, and just move on, because they didn't do any harm. And I just thought that was a bit shitty by the police. I'm not gonna lie to you. But obviously, we're coming towards the end of the show now, everybody. We do have one WhatsApp that's come through. I'm not going to share it, but I'll just read it out to you. It's from Callum as well. I'll give this to Andy. Do you think Newcastle can win a trophy in the next 3 years?
Absolutely. With the rise we're going on in this journey that we're all strapped in on, I think last season was just a glimpse of what's to come with the final in Europe. Could even be this year. That we've got the depth now. Both, like you mentioned before, Lee, you have got the likes of Chelsea that aren't tied into a European competition, but unfortunately for them, they're still shit.
1 point.
No matter how much money you spend, for me, I was going to say before when you mentioned Chelsea, the game I really want to see is Tottenham Chelsea at the minute, because obviously Tottenham beat Man United at the weekend. They look awful. I think they made that Wolves squad look good on the first day, and then Brighton have went to their place, absolutely battered them. It's just I don't want to come across as the daft bias Geordie, but just these teams that have spent so much. I mean, people go on about our spending, but Chelsea, you've got to point fingers at them. They're just shit.
I think they should be coming into form whenever we're playing.
Don't think they will. They've done a PSG.
They should, but
They should on paper. They should, but
they only have 1 game a week.
But
all winter until December, they're only going to play once a week. We're going to have 2. Everyone else, Brighton, Villa, the whole lot of we're going to have 2 games.
This is the thing, though. They've literally copied PSG. Literally got the manager PSG had signed a bunch of individuals who were just coming in from all over the place for too much money. They're all flopping. The fan base is starting to panic. They'll start kicking off soon. They'll point to Pochettino. If they don't get a win in the next game, I think they'll be hell on down there. And it's funny to watch, to be honest.
No, I do agree on that side, but I think there will be. I don't think it'll get top 4, but I think there'll be so much more. I think there'll only be like 6-7 points at the end of the season behind, because I think naturally they've got less games, so it helps them. But we're coming towards the end now. That's it, everybody. If you're watching live, you know what to do. Drop us a like; it helps us out. If you're watching the rerun of us and you stuck it on the background, if you can hear us whilst you're doing the kitchen or you're tidying up as you do, stop what you're doing right now. Get on that phone and hit the like button. You hear me now? Yes, you. Derek in the corner. Stop hoovering. There we go. He's liked it. There we go. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks to Carl earlier as well in the first half. Thanks to Andy for the full show tonight. We'll be back once again next Monday, probably 8:30, probably there about 9 o'clock, something like that. And of course, we'll have another video in the next couple of days. And we've also got, obviously, the build-up to Liverpool to look forward to towards the weekend as well. We do want to try and cram in a fan show as well sometime this week as well to get you on board and have your 50 pence say on Newcastle United transfers and everything. We are expecting a Lewis Hall announcement, so we'll be doing a video on that, of course, as well. Enjoyed it tonight, Andy?
Loved it, as always.
Champion, right? That's it from us live on Twitch and live on YouTube. Have a good